rich colors, the leading lines of the aisle up towards the altar. Sweep your eye back into the frame. Vaulted arches at the top are a good example of technique artists use, leading to a vanishing point. Gives the image a sense of dimension.
I'd rather be sailing. '21.
The image is well lighted, composed well with the individual looking out at the boat. It's kind of a leading line going in that direction. The exposure is well done both inside and outside of the building or the room.
Courtyard view. '22.
The image has got a nice strong source of light, and the grill work in the arches is well displayed. The shadow is nice. I think it's the three balanced arches really included everything. It seems like the maker has minimized the keystoning effect, and it's nicely done.
Could I ask a question of the judges?
Sure.
Would it be helpful for some of us to hear some suggestions, critical suggestions on what you might have done differently? Because that would be helpful for those of us who are stuck at the 17 and 18 level. Is that?
So you would like them to be a little more critical? Is that what you're saying?
A negative, you know, I mean.
This would have been a stronger image if the maker had waited until the sun moved around. And I know you don't have the opportunity. You're there, you've got your camera in your hand, and you're going to be leaving in 15 minutes, you've got to take the picture. But if you want to make a stronger image, come at a time of the day when the light really streams in, and you can really pick up those shadows on the floor. It would increase the drama quite a lot, I think.
Army Strong. '19.
The image is hurt from the light of the time of day. It's harsh midday light. Even a little bit less exposure may have helped it. Sky, when it has that milkiness to it, is never very appealing. If it's a crisp blue sky or a cobalt blue sky, you might want to include it in the midday, but it detracts normally from an image.
Soho View. '23.
A very creative image, nice color. It is well composed. It draws your eye in, and you kind of look to figure out what is exactly there, which adds to the drama and the creativity. I don't think I would have any suggestions to change it, because I'm not quite sure exactly how that was done, but it is interesting.
View of Tokyo. '24.
I don't know whether the image was taken with a fisheye lens or it's a fisheye effect of the glass wall, but it's certainly an interesting image. The exposure is right on for the foreground, and for the distant it's a little light, but I think the thing that's compelling is the picture of the people lined up and looking out the windows there. I like, usually, you don't try to center an image, but this one works very well centered, and I think it's a nice image. Very well done. No suggestions for improvement.
Just another day in paradise. Boring.
The expression on the subject's face is everything.
We need a
Everything.
score,
Score.
please.
We have to get a score first. 21.
Expression is everything. The framing accentuates her expression. The colors are muted. Nothing detracts from the main subject.
If you were doing that, would you bullseye the person in the middle of it?
Normally, it's not a good thing to bullseye anything. If anything, it could have been thrown a little more off-center. Maybe eliminate a little bit of the lower right-hand corner in that relatively large light area. But my eye barely goes down that direction. My eye always wants to go back into the subject, the way it's framed here. It's nuanced. I guess you could reframe it, or crop it a little bit. But my eye keeps wanting to go back to her face. She's the main subject, so that works for me.
A view without a room. $22.
Both subjects are sharp. The exposure is good. Looks like there's ice on the lake or the body of water there, not quite sure. The area where the individuals are standing or seated is sharp. Lighting's good. The only suggestion I would have would possibly would have been to get that foreground a little sharper if it was possible.
Quilter's Retreat. $20.
This is a nice image. It appears that the focal point is the table, which would be the quilter's retreat, even though there's a quilt shown over the chair. It's a little difficult to find a place to land on that. I find myself landing on that plant in the middle of the table, and I'm not sure that that is really intended to be the subject of the image. The sky is the typical sky that we have around here, which is neither blue nor white, and just kind of gray. It's a nice image, but I just think it could have been better composed to focus on a particular image rather than a sort of a landscape of a porch.
Zocalo View. $23.
Nice street photography shot. Great texture on the brick walls. Nice natural framing. Lead your eye into the subject of the man walking down the street, the trunk. Pretty much everything surrounding him supports him as the main subject. Nice shot.
Wonderful Warner. $21.
This is a good wide-angle shot of the Warner. I would say it is sharp, good composition. I would suggest that perhaps it's a little too harshly lit. If that's what the maker intended, that's fine, but it looks like it's a little bit blown out and could be brought down as far as exposure.
Pitons on St. Lucia. $21.
Well, unlike the last porch shot, this one clearly has a subject, which is that mountain in the background. It's nicely put together. We know what we're supposed to be looking at. There are a lot of leading lines, and even in the ceiling things there that are pointing towards what you're supposed to be looking at. So that's a clue, folks. Look there. I think the color is good. The colors are bright and vibrant. The lighting is as good as it can be. There's a brightness over at the left-hand side, but you can't avoid that in the sunshine, and given the location. I'm not sure what could be done to improve the shot. I always like these shots at about sunset when you've got a nice glowing sky behind the mountain. The lights would be coming on in the village below, and I think it would be a dazzling image at that time of day. But again, sometimes we have 15 minutes to take the picture, and this might have been the 15, so it's nicely done.
Old room. $22.
Pleasing because it's muted and pastel-like. It seems a little out of focus all over. I have a hard time finding a place for my eye to rest that appears sharp. And it's got a nice balance to the frame. There is more weight on the bottom than the top. But I would like something sharp or a stronger single subject to land on.
A view toward war. $23.
This photo is well exposed. The composition is very nice. Kind of have that diagonal going. The sky is nicely colored. Just a very nice photo. I wouldn't have any suggestions to improve it. Perhaps get this, I was going to say get the sky a little bluer, but I'm not even sure that would be appropriate. It's a very nice photo. The fence down in the lower right-hand side and some of the buildings don't add to it, but when you are stuck with what's there, you have to deal with it. One possibility would have been trying to take it with a larger aperture, and maybe it would have blurred some of that out in the background. Not sure, but it might have worked.
U.S. Capitol from a window of the Library of Congress. $20.
This is an interesting picture of the Capitol building, which we always think of as being just that center dome. This is, I would say, the left side. I don't know whether it's north or south, but of the Capitol building. And then getting the Washington Monument in is a nice touch as well. It's a good memento of a trip, and it's nicely exposed. The detail looks appropriate and well done.
Upward perspective. $25.
Very pleasing because of the swirling effect. Rolls your eyes around, you follow it back in through to the lighted dome in the background. It's soft muted colors. If there was a fuller range of tones, a little more dark in it to go along with the lighter tones, it might have made it a little stronger.
Castle View. $25.
Beautiful photo, both of the internal room there and the outdoors. Looks like it might have been HDR, not sure, but the beautiful colors. We have the beautiful colors there on the outside. Leading lines, those little two, I don't know if that's soap on either side of the The picture there in the middle is a neat touch. No suggestions for improvement that I can see.
Does it bother you that the top of the window is clipped or not?
Yeah, and now that you mention it, that would be an improvement, yeah.
Would you leave it up, please? Yeah, and one suggestion I would have, if you're going to take an image that is supposed to be centered, then crop off the right side and make it equivalent to the left. And straighten the tip. It looks like it's a little tipped, and you can certainly do this in Photoshop, so that it really is dead in the center, instead of a little on one side or the other. I think that would improve it a little bit.
View from a house on the rock. '21.
This is obviously an image which has been modified in some filter application, but it's pleasing. It's the sort of thing that you would want to have hanging on your wall. The colors are muted. It's an interesting picture to look at. I'm not sure whether the topic is, or the subject is the round Gothic topped barn or the red house, but I kind of go back and forth between the two of them. But it's a pleasing picture.
From my kitchen window. '19.
Striking sunrise or sunset, gorgeous colors. Horizontal lines are very calming, soothing, pleasing. The branches coming in from the upper left-hand corner, I believe, are a distraction, particularly because they're not sharp and crisp, but it's not like a complete branch leading in there. It's just enough to kind of take your eye up, but it's nothing you necessarily want to look at. But it's a gorgeous moment.
Exotic view. '22.
Nice architectural photo. The building is at an angle. You have the stairways running up at an angle. A lot of texture there. The exposure is good. I don't have any suggestions. Perhaps bring down, perhaps crop some of the sky out would be a possibility to consider. That's it.
Do you think that would be better as a vertical? And take off that left-hand side? That left-hand side to me is not doing anything. If you put your hand up and take that left-hand side out, then you've got more of a vertical of just that main part of that building there. So you have I think a better composition. This is a beautiful building, but composition-wise, we don't know what's down at the bottom. We don't have anything on that left-hand side that's really interesting. So maybe as a vertical, it would have been a much stronger image, and gone in a little closer to that interesting walkway or that interesting stairway, because that's where your interest wants to lie, but we're kind of way back from that.
If anything, you'd like to move over and not clip that pink building beside it, because it's actually more interesting than what's on the left-hand side.
Yep. Well, we put that one to death. Let's go on.
Greenwich Village lights. '21.
To me, this image looks like it has been too harshly dealt with in post-production. the color of the interior walls and the floor are almost unnatural. And I realize that some kind of a filter has been applied with the intention of making it look this way. But to me, I think your image is in the three images on the three panes of the window on the left, and it might have worked better as a vertical. I don't think those two panes on the right do anything to improve the quality of the image. So if you had cropped about where that pillar is, you would have had, I think, a stronger image, and perhaps the overall yellowness of the interior would have been mitigated. You could also have cooled this down a little bit just by adjusting the temperature of the image. I think it would have been more pleasing to the eye.
Mother Nature's infinite room with a view. '21.
Once again, beautiful sunrise or sunset, probably a little overdone in post-production. The colors are a little unnatural in the sky. It's probably beautiful just as it was. The bottom is blocky and heavy. There's so much black, especially on the barn side or the left-hand side and the bottom. It's a lot of visual weight on the bottom, and it makes it feel heavy to look at.
Table for two by the window. '21.
Good view of the outdoors. You have the table there. Obviously, the outdoor portion of the photo is overexposed. There's some, I think it's vignetting around the side, or all the way around. The lighter colored vignetting may not add to the photograph. Also, in order, well, I would say I was going to crop a little bit, maybe crop off the top of that, the window. It is crooked. It may not add to the photo.
Harper's Ferry hotel room view. '24.
This is a nice image, and I'm glad the maker didn't do what I often do when I have light bulbs that are out in streetlights, which is to try to just take one and move it to the other spot so that they're all lit like somebody intended at some point in time. But this is a nice image taken at an appropriate time of the day. Maybe been lightened a little bit too much, but I love the effect of this. It's an interesting thing to look at. Your eye goes across the bridge, comes back, goes across the bridge again, comes back, goes across the bridge. I'm familiar with this location, and I think this is a nice capture. And I also like, I don't know whether it was done, I suspect that this is not done with an HDR camera, but with an HDR effect on those light leaves down the lower left-hand corner. I don't know if the lower right-hand corner with those light-colored leaves is adding anything. That might have been something that could have been cropped out in some way, shape, or form, or at least darkened. But it's an interesting image to look at.
View from the cruise of Stewart, Alaska. 23.
Some great geometry, great texture, soft, nice colors. A bright white sky is a little bit detracting, and the bright foreground also. This is another image recomposed with a little less sky and a little less foreground and a little more emphasis on those beautiful forms. Probably is a little better shot in there.
View of the bridge. 20.
Obviously, a shot through some sort of peephole, whether it's a knothole or something else. To me, the actual subject, which is the bridge and the surrounding trees, don't look real sharp. The blurry